Shalom, shalom, everybody. Welcome, all my Israel briefers, to the Israel Brief. Thank you for joining me, Rolene Marks, as I take a look at those top stories making headlines in Israel. As always, I do it every Monday to Thursday and in partnership with these guys, Lay of the Land. And a reminder that Lay of the Land puts out a weekly newsletter which includes a collection of original articles as well as the recaps of the Israel Brief. And if you would like to be on the mailing list, please be in touch with us via our website. And if you would like to write for Lay of the Land, please be in touch with us via the website as well. Now, today is day 522. I really hope that we don't get to 600 because that will mean all of our hostages have returned. All 59 of our hostages would have been returned to us and hopefully an end to the war. But sadly, we are still in that negotiation phase. More about that coming up on the show. And it has been one of those days which I always worry about in Israel, a quiet news day. Now, the reason I worry is that it's always the calm before the storm. And hey, what can I say? I'm a journalist. I like a steady flow of news, so there's something to talk about. Nevertheless, let's take a look at those top stories making headlines. And we begin in Syria, and the Israeli Air Force has struck targets in Syria. The Air Force confirmed that they had struck radars and aerial intelligence gatherers. Now, the reason for this is that there is concern that the new Syrian regime may turn its weapons against the state of Israel. As you guys know, following the collapse of the Assad regime, Israel set up a buffer zone on the Syrian side of the Golan as the Syrian army had left their posts and moved very quickly to strike Syrian military assets, fearing that hostile entities inside of Syria, like ISIS, could use them against Israel. Meanwhile, Jerusalem remains extremely concerned about the massacres, the ethnic cleansing of minority communities, including Christians, Kurds, Druze, and Alawites. Now, the murder of Alawites seems to be the bulk of the ethnic cleansing. The Alawites believed to have been loyal to the Assad regime, but nobody has been spared, not men, not women, and not children. The Jerusalem Post has managed to contact two Alawite men in Syria, and they have expressed their fear, their concern, and actually appealed to Israel to help defend them, saying that we need help from jihadist atrocities. So it's very interesting that Israel, a country that many in the Middle East are hostile towards when it comes to protecting minorities or it comes to fighting the real bad guys, that people in the neighborhood know who to turn to. Meanwhile, last week, Israel's defense minister said that the IDF will protect Syrian Druze and we will be allocating them work permits to come and work inside of Israel. Let's talk hostage negotiations, and not much to report at the moment. Negotiations are still underway in Doha. The Middle East envoy from the Trump administration has said that he wants to see deadlines. He wants real deadlines. He believes that this is imperative to the success of seeing a second phase to the ceasefire. We also have heard from the U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, opining about the White House envoy Adam Boehler's once-off meeting with Hamas. He said that it hasn't borne any fruit and therefore will be a one-time occurrence. Israel has appealed to the United Nations, some of the other agencies at the UN, to replace UNRWA, that's the United Nations Relief Works Agency, inside the Gaza Strip. Now, the reason for this we have discussed many times on the Israel Brief, but we believe that UNRWA has been responsible not only for perpetuating this cycle of violence, but also the incitement of hatred. And we can't forget that UNRWA staff not only have held hostages in their residencies and in their buildings, but that UNRWA buildings have been teeth back in, used to store weapons and to be used as headquarters for Hamas. The Gaza that Israel sees post-war cannot have any UNRWA and any Hamas. And finally, a manhunt is still underway for the terrorists responsible for throwing a rock at a car traveling close to the Judean Samaria, or West Bank, as some of you know, town of Udalla. A rock was thrown at a car, smashing the windscreen and injuring a baby. Thank goodness the baby is okay, but the manhunt is still underway. So those are our top stories. Let's take a look at the audience question, and it comes all the way from Roy in Los Angeles, who says, has Netanyahu's approval rating improved? Well, actually, the short answer to that, Roy, is no. At the moment, there is about a 60% rating from the Israeli public wanting the Prime Minister to quit, saying that he hasn't taken responsibility for the atrocities or for the attacks of the 7th of October. And while he is not responsible for them, it happened on his watch. And many Israelis feel that it is time for the Prime Minister to step down, and also for there to be a state inquiry into the failures that led to the 7th of October. As we know, the former IDF chief has stepped down. Many in the IDF leadership have stepped down. The head of the Shabak has said he will step down as soon as the last hostage is returned, and there have been increased calls for an inquiry, something that the Prime Minister has rebuffed. But as we stand at the moment, there are increased calls for him to resign. So those are our top stories, guys. Don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our YouTube channel is right here at the Israel Brief. If you like our content, please hit that subscribe button. Let's grow our community. We are on X at Lay of the Land 5, on Instagram at Rolene_Marks, although I don't understand why yesterday's posting did not share across to Instagram, and on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks. I forgot myself there for a second. So guys, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you again tomorrow. God bless.